was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
At one point, Justin Bieber seemed untouchable. Millions of fans screamed his name. His songs ruled the charts. His face was everywhere, from magazine covers to sold-out stadiums. But behind the perfect pop star image was a young man slowly breaking down under the weight of fame, scrutiny, and personal battles that most people never saw. By the time the cameras caught him wiping away tears in public, and his appearance began to spark concern, the story of his rise had already been rewritten into something darker. This wasn't just about bad press or tabloid drama. It was about a child star who grew up in the spotlight, surrounded by pressure, predators, addiction, and a whirlwind love story that some believe only made things worse. Today, we trace the full story, from his early YouTube covers to his global superstardom, the scandals, the addictions, the sudden marriage, the public breakdowns, and the question fans can't stop asking: is Justin Bieber okay, or has the damage already been done? Justin Bieber's story began far from the flashing lights of Los Angeles. He grew up in Stratford, Ontario, a small Canadian town where big dreams rarely made it past the local hockey rink. Raised by his single mother, Patty Millette, Justin spent much of his childhood surrounded by music. He learned drums, guitar, and piano on his own, playing wherever he could: school talent shows, small-town events, even street corners. In 2007, when Justin was just 13, Patty began uploading videos of him singing cover songs to YouTube. The clips were simple, just a boy in a small living room or standing on a modest stage, but his voice had something rare, a natural tone and confidence that made people stop scrolling. One of those people was talent manager Scooter Braun. After stumbling across a video of Justin singing Ne-Yo's So Sick, Braun tracked him down, convinced this unknown teenager could be a global star. It wasn't an easy sell. Patty was hesitant about sending her son into the music industry, worried about the dangers that came with it. But after encouragement from her church community, she agreed to fly with Justin to Atlanta to meet industry heavyweights. One of those meetings was with Usher, who saw the same potential Braun did. By 2009, Justin released his debut single One Time and his EP My World, making history as the first artist to have every song from a debut album chart on the Billboard Hot 100. Suddenly, the small-town boy was a global name. Concerts sold out in minutes. Fan meet and greets looked more like security operations. And when Baby dropped in 2010, Justin wasn't just famous, he was a cultural phenomenon. But while the headlines were about screaming fans and sold-out arenas, the pressure behind the scenes was mounting. The machine that launched him was now in full motion, and at just 16 years old, Justin had stepped into a world that had swallowed many young stars before him. In the early 2010s, Justin's career was running at an impossible pace. Every year brought a new album, a new tour, and a new wave of global attention. His music videos broke YouTube records. His social media following exploded. Every move he made was documented, dissected, and sold as content. For millions of fans, Justin was a perfect pop idol. But behind the image was a teenager living under a microscope. His schedule was relentless. Rehearsals, interviews, photo shoots, travel, performances, repeated day after day with no real pause. The same cameras that celebrated his every success also caught his every stumble. The industry around him was equally demanding. Managers, label executives, brand partners, all had expectations. All saw him as an investment as much as an artist. At that age, Justin was still figuring out who he was. Yet the world already had a fixed idea of who he should be. Maintaining that image meant constant pressure to smile, perform, and push through, no matter what was happening in his personal life. The fans who adored him also added to the intensity. While their love was real, the sheer volume of it, the crowds outside hotels, the invasions of personal space, the endless requests, created a life where privacy barely existed. For someone still in his teens, the lack of space to make mistakes quietly was dangerous. Any misstep, no matter how small, was magnified to the world. By the time Justin was old enough to legally vote, he had already experienced more fame, money, and attention than most people will in a lifetime. But he had also begun to see the darker side of celebrity, a side where boundaries blurred, respect for personal space vanished, and the idea of normal life became something he could only imagine. As Justin's fame grew, so did the uncomfortable situations he faced. Some of them happened in plain sight, broadcast to millions, yet rarely treated with the seriousness they deserved. One moment that still sparks outrage happened at the 2012 American Music Awards. Justin, freshly 18, had just won Pop Rock Album of the Year when presenter Jenny McCarthy unexpectedly pulled him close, kissed him, and grabbed him inappropriately. Cameras caught his visible discomfort, but the incident was brushed off by McCarthy in later interviews as a fun moment. For Justin, it was anything but fun. And this wasn't an isolated case. At the 2011 Brit Awards, host James Corden made comments about Justin's appearance and scent that crossed a line for a 16-year-old. Around the same time, Katy Perry grabbed his face and kissed him without warning during a live meet and greet. In other interviews, adult hosts asked sexually suggestive questions to the still teenage singer, framing it as harmless humor. For the public, these moments were often treated like quirky celebrity interactions. But for Justin, they were constant reminders that many in the industry didn't see him as a young person with boundaries. They saw him as a product that could be handled however they pleased. The effect of this kind of treatment can be long-lasting, creating distrust, discomfort, and a sense that his body and privacy weren't fully his. While fans debated these incidents online, the reality was that they were signs of a bigger problem. Justin was being exposed to adult situations and treatment long before he was emotionally ready for them. That early crossing of boundaries, mixed with the pressures of his career, set the stage for coping mechanisms that would eventually spiral into self-destruction. By 2013, the cracks in Justin's carefully built image were becoming harder to hide. Paparazzi photos of him holding a blunt surfaced online, sparking outrage among parents and headlines in major tabloids. For fans who had grown up seeing him as the squeaky clean teen idol, it was a shock. For critics, it was confirmation that Justin was heading toward the same troubled path as other young stars before him. What most people didn't realize was that this was already much deeper than a rebellious phase. Justin later admitted that at one point, his mornings started with a blunt and prescription pills. The combination wasn't just about getting high. It was about shutting out the constant noise, the judgment, the pressure, and the unresolved trauma from years of being treated as a commodity instead of a person. The arrests began soon after. In January 2014, Justin was taken into custody in Miami, charged with driving under the influence, resisting arrest without violence, and driving with an expired license. The toxicology report revealed THC and Xanax in his system. He spent 10 hours in a cell before being released on bail, and the mugshot showing him smiling went viral. Some saw the smile as arrogance. Others saw it as the mask of someone too used to performing, even in moments of crisis. As time went on, his drug use expanded. He moved from marijuana and pills to substances like MDMA and lean, a potent mix of codeine cough syrup, soda, and candy that had a reputation in hip-hop circles, but a dangerous history of addiction and overdoses. Friends reported seeing him zoned out for long periods, and his own security team had to check his pulse at night to make sure he was still breathing. This period wasn't just about drugs, it was about escape. Justin was trying to block out everything he didn't want to face. The industry that had chewed him up, the loss of privacy, and the trauma he had never processed. But with every hit, every sip, every pill, he was also drifting further from the person he had been when he first stepped into the spotlight. By the late 2010s, the signs of burnout were undeniable. Years of touring, media scrutiny, and personal struggles had left Justin physically and mentally drained. Public appearances became unpredictable. Sometimes he was polished and smiling, other times visibly tired and withdrawn. In 2019, he made the announcement that fans had been dreading, but also half expected. He was taking an indefinite break from music. Just 6 months earlier, he had married Hailey Baldwin, and on the surface, it seemed like he was choosing love and stability over the chaos of constant touring. But those close to him suggested that the break wasn't just about rest, it was about survival. His battles with mental health became more public. Justin spoke openly about depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. He admitted to feeling empty despite his wealth and success, and to struggling with trust after years of being used by people around him. When he returned in 2021 with the album Justice, it felt like a comeback. Songs like Peaches and Holy dominated charts again, and the media framed it as a redemption arc. But behind the scenes, the stability was fragile. That same year, Justin's physical health came under new strain when he was diagnosed with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, a condition that temporarily paralyzed part of his face.
You can see this eye is not blinking. I can't smile on this side of my face. So there's full paralysis in this side of my face.
The truth was simple but heavy. The damage from years of pressure, trauma, and substance abuse wasn't going to disappear because of a chart-topping album. If anything, stepping back into the spotlight risked reopening wounds that had never fully healed. Justin and Hailey Baldwin's relationship has always been a point of fascination and controversy. Their story began in 2009 when Hailey, then 12, met Justin backstage at the Today Show through her father, actor Stephen Baldwin. Years later, they reconnected through mutual friends and church circles, including Hillsong, the celebrity-heavy megachurch that became a central part of Justin's life during his darker times. By 2016, the two were seen publicly together, posting photos that hinted at a romantic connection. But the relationship was brief and ended on bad terms, with Hailey later describing the split as a dramatic excommunication. In the time that followed, Justin returned to his on-and-off relationship with Selena Gomez, a dynamic that had already lasted nearly 8 years. Then came 2018, the year everything changed. In June, Justin and Hailey were spotted together at a church conference. By July, they were engaged. By September, they were married in a New York courthouse. The speed of events shocked fans, many of whom were still processing Justin's final breakup with Selena just months earlier. The sudden marriage fueled endless speculation. Some believed Hailey had always been waiting for the right moment. Others thought Justin, emotionally raw from the end of his longest relationship, was rushing into something new for comfort. Gossip magazines painted her as the rebound girl who secured a ring before Justin could change his mind. Whatever the truth, the relationship instantly became one of the most watched and dissected in celebrity culture. Every public interaction, every photo, every unfollow on social media was treated as a clue to the state of their marriage. And for many, the question wasn't if the relationship would face strain, but when it would start showing cracks in public. If Justin and Hailey hoped marriage would quiet the noise around their lives, the opposite happened. Almost immediately, they found themselves in the middle of a long-running pop culture divide. Team Selena versus Team Hailey. The timeline of Justin's relationships with the two women had created a kind of celebrity rivalry that neither could fully escape, even when they publicly denied any animosity. The drama intensified in 2019 when Selena released Lose You to Love Me, a ballad that many interpreted as being about Justin moving on too quickly. Lines like, "In 2 months, you replaced us like it was easy," seemed to speak directly to her ex's new marriage. Just hours after the song's release, Hailey posted a screenshot of Summer Walker's I'll Kill You on her Instagram story. She later said it was a coincidence, but for many fans, the timing felt deliberate. By 2023, the tensions spilled into new territory when Selena posted a lighthearted TikTok about over-laminating her eyebrows. Shortly after, Kylie Jenner, a close friend of Hailey's, shared a close-up of her own eyebrows on Instagram with the caption, "This was an accident?" followed by a screenshot of a FaceTime call with Hailey. Both of them zoomed in on their brows. Whether it was shade or coincidence, the internet decided it was war. Selena gained over 12 million followers in days. Hailey lost more than 1 million. Then there was the connection to Taylor Swift, Selena's best friend. Taylor and Justin had once been on good terms, but over the years, Justin's loyalty appeared to shift away from her, especially after public spats between Swift and his manager, Scooter Braun. For fans already skeptical of Hailey, these moments painted a picture of her aligning herself against the women who had been close to Justin before their marriage. The public feuds didn't just fuel online gossip. They fed into the perception that Justin and Hailey's marriage was under constant strain, with outside drama acting as both a distraction and a trigger for private conflicts. Over the years, Justin had been photographed in moments that made fans worry for his mental health. Sometimes it was the distant look in his eyes during public events. Other times, it was the sight of him in tears while sitting with Hailey in a park or on a city street. In a 2021 interview, Justin admitted the first year of marriage was really tough due to the trauma he carried. For many, that was the understatement of the decade. The emotional baggage wasn't new. It had been building since his teens, but marriage had brought it into sharper focus. Love didn't erase the years of exploitation, the addictions, or the trust issues that came from living life in the public eye. His physical health also became a concern. In 2022, Justin revealed he had Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, a condition that left part of his face temporarily paralyzed. While he was transparent about the diagnosis and its effects, it added another layer of vulnerability to his already fragile public image. Public breakdowns became fuel for speculation. Team Hailey supporters framed them as evidence of her being a supportive partner in his healing process. Critics saw them as proof that the marriage wasn't providing the stability Justin needed. Either way, the reality was the same. Justin was struggling, and the world was watching in real time. The internet's reaction to these vulnerable moments was often ruthless. Memes, side-by-side comparison photos, and speculation about his health or sobriety were everywhere. For someone who had grown up knowing no privacy, even the act of breaking down became another public performance. Justin Bieber's story is a rare mix of extraordinary success and deep personal cost. From a small-town Canadian boy singing covers in his living room to one of the biggest pop stars in the world, his journey has been both inspiring and troubling. Today, Justin's future feels uncertain. On one hand, he has the resources, fan base, and talent to make a triumphant return whenever he chooses. On the other, years of emotional strain, public pressure, and personal battles have clearly taken their toll. His decision in 2023 to sell the rights to his music catalog was seen by some as a smart financial move, but by others as a sign he might be preparing to step away from the industry entirely. Fatherhood, announced quietly to the public, has sparked hope among fans that Justin might find grounding in family life. But whether that will bring the peace he's been searching for is impossible to know. When you've spent nearly 2 decades in the spotlight, the echoes of your past don't disappear, they follow you. Sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, but always there. Justin Bieber is still only in his late 20s, yet his career and life story already read like a complete arc. The rise, the fall, and the question mark at the end. Whether he returns to music full-time, steps away for good, or takes a path no one expects, one thing is certain: the world will be watching, just as it always has, from the very beginning. And that might be the hardest part of all. If you found this story eye-opening, you won't want to miss what we uncovered in our next video. Tap one of the videos on screen now to keep going, and tell me in the comments what you think about Justin's journey. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the biggest stories in celebrity culture.